This episode of Inside Golf Podcast is brought to you by Inside Sports Network.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Boston Capital Twitter, Steve, on the Hold the Green podcast.
All right, we are live. Tap in, birdie.
All right, Carson Young is here.
I bet Ludwig at 28.
Let's go. I bet
You
him
do
at,
too?
I bet him at 25.
Low sevens. I think there's some guys in here we like.
Harris English at 7,300.
I love Brian Harmon at 3.5% this week.
What's up, guys? It's producer Cam here. ISN is now partnered with Shorty's Golf. Shorty's Golf is designed to provide kids with the perfect introduction to the game of golf by offering high-quality clubs and equipment specifically tailored to their need. They offer custom sizes for various age groups, ensuring that the kids have clubs that are tailored to their height and strength. They feature fun, vibrant colors and lightweight stand bags that are easily adjustable. Each set features real stainless steel clubs, high-quality materials, and sturdy construction, making them long-lasting while providing a real golf experience. So go check them out, golfshorties.com. Use ISN15 at checkout for $15 off your purchase.
All right, RB, we are here Monday after the PGA Championship. Another one in the books. What were your reactions last week to Quail Hollow and Scotty Scheffler's third major championship victory?
Yeah, not surprised. I think we'll say that. Scotty played great. He didn't quite have the firepower early on Thursday, but it became very apparent on Friday and especially late Saturday that this one was over. Even though Rahm made a run. And
I was terrified. I thought Rahm was totally alive to do it.
He definitely was until he missed the putt on 14. But Scotty had a few holes on him still, a couple birdie holes. So I wasn't overly worried yet. I don't think Scotty ever got to plus money, did he? On Sunday.
I wasn't looking at the odds. I couldn't do myself. I couldn't do that to myself.
But the course really it held up well. He was the only player who got to double digits. Nobody else got past 6 in terms of where they finished. And yeah, I thought the course played really well. Not obviously the most entertaining venue because we see it all the time, but I think it presented really well over the weekend, and I think they did a decent job with the coverage, especially in the final round.
How did your DFS end up? Were there any big surprises for you? Because there was some pretty significant carnage. It was for me, it was one of my best weeks of the season. But there were a lot of big time surprises in there. I mean, the entire 9K range got pretty much completely obliterated outside of Neiman.
Yeah, no, for sure. I wasn't there because I played double stud on everything that I built. Unfortunately, Rory was the highest that I played of those three.
That was the big, because double stud was the right move at the end of the day. Like because I had a lot of sweats this week because the bottom of my player pool was really strong, but the lineups that I ultimately all ended up losing to were Scheffler Rahm lineups.
Sure.
And I played Bryson Rahm lineups, but I didn't play Scheffler at all. I mean, I bet Scheffler obviously, but I played Bryson and Rahm together, and I ultimately actually ended up losing to Scheffler Bryson lineups or Scheffler Rahm lineups, which I came in here and talked about on Monday with you. Like, that feels over ambitious to build that way this week. And there were so many idiots in the 5 and 6K range that made those lineups viable.
Yeah. And I mean, it was interesting because like all the bigger names who missed the cut, I had none of. Like I had no Cantlay and no Brooks and no JT.
Did you avoid Keith Mitchell chalk?
Not enough. No.
Yeah,
I had a lot of him.
There it is.
I think my bigger issue was just the guys who didn't make a run on the look, I had a lot of Cam Young. He had his moments. Obviously never got there. I had a lot of Lucas Glover. He was again kind of
I like him this week.
Same. I already bet him, but he shot 4 over on Sunday. So just didn't have the right guys. But yeah, not a good week for me. It sounds like it was a better week for you. So
did you avoid I would say for me, the biggest surprise, I wasn't super, I thought JT was a really easy fade. Hideki and Cantlay were the two guys that murdered me in the nines. And it was a week of, it was definitely one of my best decision making weeks that I've had all year based on my pool, but it was impossible to avoid some mistakes.
Sure.
And I still could not, I mean, I was the entire 9K range, because it's not like Fleeton and Hatton, who made the cut for me, played well either. Neiman finished, I think, T8. Hovland finished T35, and every single other player who are, basically considered by most like the guys that we consider anywhere near the 7th to 15th best player in the world. And this can maybe transition us into talking about Oakmont, but all of them were just a total no-show.
Yeah. So, I mean, I had to take a few more chances down low because I was stacking, those Scotty Bryson and Rory Bryson lineups. I think, honestly, my biggest miscut was Gary Woodland at 5,800, just in terms of how much I had.
Your groups with Bryson, so I watched a ton of Woodland this week.
And look, I know he didn't play great, but I mean, he gained off the tee, he gained on approach, and he gained putting, and he missed the cut. So, like, is that Gary Woodland? Kind of, but yeah, just a very frustrating outcome for him at that. I just thought he was too cheap.
Fair enough. There were a million different versions of Gary Woodland that ended up being the right guy. I mean, Johnny Vegas. Yeah. We talk about him play Johnny Vegas
Taylor
all
Pendrith,
the time. He's an idiot. Taylor Pendrith was my guy. Yeah, Taylor Pendrith made me a lot of money last week. Yeah. But as far as going forward for the U.S. Open, because my mind's already on Oakmont, we were talking about it pretty much all night or all late evening after the tournament ended about what this means for Oakmont. What's your walk away takeaways? What did you learn this week about Bryson, Scotty, Rory, and how are you assessing Oakmont as it stands now?
So, yeah, Scotty returned to dominance is kind of number one. I don't think we had ever gotten quite there that, Rory was maybe the best player in the world, but I think this, it reemphasized the floor difference between Scotty and Rory.
Right.
Scotty has a floor, also has a ceiling. Rory has no floor, right, especially in these bigger events. And look, with Bryson, he absolutely needs to figure out the iron play. And if he does, he is ahead of Rory on my list for Oakmont, without a shadow of a doubt. I don't believe that he can fix the iron play because he hasn't shown it at all this year.
Yeah. I actually walked away from this week almost being more impressed with Bryson. And I know that he was a disappointment to many, but I was, I played Bryson in DFS. So I had kind of put myself in a hedging scenario where if Bryson was to win or to play well, I expected him to play well and I knew he was going to play well. I just didn't like what he was representing culturally this week. Like he had turned into a monster that I wanted to take on in a different form. And I thought I could do that with Scottie Scheffler, but I was watching him all week sweating it with the very rare person like Brian and our friend RK, who also weren't part of the Bryson mob. And every single hole, RB, is a birdie hole for him because every single hole, he's just driver down the middle, 330 yards. And I think him and Scotty right now are the only two guys in the game. And you can probably throw Rory into this category. He probably just had a bad driving week, but it still doesn't feel like Rory plays as much offense in the way that Bryson and Scotty do. Like it's interesting. They if I was comparing it to basketball, it's like, it's almost like Shaq and Kobe a little bit. Like Shaq, like Bryson just does it with pure unadulterated force and brute strength. And Scotty just manipulates the situation with his distance control and his irons. But they are the two only guys in the game right now that just have the ability to make every 515 yard par four a birdie hole when other people are playing defense on those holes. And that's what Oakmont's going to be. I mean, Oakmont isn't an insanely long golf course the way that I think some people think it is, but it's still going to play long as shit with narrow fairways and thick rough. And this version of USGA setups, it's just like, if you don't have the card of being a long and straight driver, like, just forget about it. Forget about it.
And I think that's a good point with Bryson. I think he has a floor. Like you said, he's hitting, a handful of flip wedges every round. Obviously, every par 5 is a mid iron for him.
Yeah, 9-iron even. He hit on 15. He hit a 9-iron out of like a bad lie in the bunker. He carried that 9-iron 230 yards.
He hit gap wedge into 16 twice, I think. But yeah, look, he is obviously an above average putter. We know that. Borderline elite putter when he wants to be. And he's gaining 6 to 8 strokes per event off the tee.
I know.
Like, that's a floor. And he's shown a good short game in these majors. So yeah, until proven otherwise, I mean, he is right up there in majors, at least, with Scotty and with Rory.
I think Scotty's going to be back down to being 3-1. I would tell you this straight up right now. I'm not going to be on Scotty at Oakmont. I'm not going to bet him at 3-1. Plus 550 was like a very good bettable number.
Sure.
Like, I don't think that is in our future for Scotty. I think part of the reason why we were able to get like plus 550s on Scotty this week is because you had the rare combination of like Rory flying high from a Masters win, plus all the hype surrounding Bryson. I think that was a rare opportunity to bet Scottie Scheffler at a bettable number at a major, and that's over. He just won a major by 6 strokes. He's better than Rory. He's going to be 3-1 again. So I'm not going to bet Scottie Scheffler to win back-to-back majors at 3-1. So, I think you're basically choosing, do you think Rory's going to bounce back? Well, do I want to invest all of my money and single bullet Rory to win his second major championship of the year? I don't know, even though it's a really good golf course for him. And so then again, that leaves you Bryson and Rahm, because what do you do with the guys on top? I mean, Xander at least showed up for work, but Ludwig and Colin, no show. You guys are top 10 players in the world. What the hell are you doing? You can't make a fucking cut at a signature event golf course at Quail Hollow.
Yeah, we can. Look, we saw it with Ludwig coming in. Like, he just
hasn't been sharp. Easy fade.
He just hasn't been sharp. But Morikawa was interesting. Again, I felt like he had some moments this week. But look, he just doesn't have the firepower on these golf courses, because he's hitting 6 irons and 5 irons and 4 irons, where Brycer's hitting gap wedge. Like, I don't know how you compete with that.
You can't.
And Bryson's a better putter.
Do you think Xander's ready to win a major right now? Do you think his game's sharp enough to beat one of those guys over 72 holes?
No, I don't think so. But I also think he is still capable of being in the top 10 every single event that he plays.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then again, it's like, who's winning the US Open? Is it Bryson? It's like, it's Bryson then. Like, is that what we're doing again?
Basically,
rooting against
Rahm,
him wasn't
look, I would throw Rahm in there, but we need to see this. I'm not concerned about sort of how he finished. He was pressing when he was behind, but
me neither.
Yeah. Rahm is a clear number 4 there for me right now behind those 3, I think.
And then I think Xander's 5. And then you could talk me into,
Cantlay's 145th.
Seriously, man. What an asshole. What an absolute asshole. He looks so good at Truist too. Like, his numbers from Truist, he almost led the field, a signature event in tee to green at Truist, and he misses the cut. He doesn't even sweat to make the cut. He missed the cut by like 3.
I would probably have Xander 5 still, but then I think there's such a big gap between those 4, even going down like to JT. Like, there's a firepower difference. There's a floor difference between like those top 3 and 4, and then going to Colin and JT and Xander and them. So, we may be entering an era, a big 4 era pretty soon.
I agree. I don't think JT can drive it close to well enough to compete at a USGA setup right now. I don't even.
And he doesn't putt well enough. Like, he's the worst putter of that group too.
Yeah, not under consideration for me. Okay, so we turn the page. Any closing thoughts from Quail? Anything else you want to get out to Quail, or we'll talk Colonial?
No, I think they did a better job with the coverage over the weekend. Obviously, ESPN
Me
was
too.
a joke. Like those first 2 rounds, ESPN was a joke.
I hate to say this, RB, because he seems like it just doesn't seem like the guys that are commentating golf on ESPN know a lot about golf.
No, it's Curtis Strange and it's Andy North, and so like.
Yeah, they're major champions.
Random,
I get it. I know
like they're pulling the most random, basic stats and not really contributing anything. But I thought we got a pretty good broadcast over the weekend with CBS. I thought they presented the golf course pretty well and told the story. Like, we obviously know Quail really well, but I like when they paint the picture where, okay, if this guy misses right on this hole with this flag, he can't get it. Close, right? And I felt like they did a pretty good job with that. Quail was a little gimmicky with the short par 4s, I think. But we got some awesome shots. So
I don't think either of those are particularly fun or good, compelling, drivable par 4s. Was there any strategy to those par 4s at all? Really? Like I didn't even feel like there was ever. I don't know. A good par 4 in my book is. There's a decision matrix off the tee.
8 was terrible. At least with 14, the green is so long that there were some back right hole locations like we saw over the weekend where like Bryson, he had that flop shot over the bunker on Sunday, which was awesome. Rom had one of those too. Scotty out of the bunker twice was just awesome. But 8 was just an awful hole. Terrible.
I will say, if we're saying something nice about Quail Hollow, I do think the golf course has a solid flow to it in the sense that you can almost break it into 3 different 6-hole stretches where it's like, that 1 through 6 is kind of hard, but there's some scoring opportunities in there, but you got to get through that stretch in like even or 1 over par. And then you have to score on 7 and 8 and 10. You had to all week is like 7, 8, 10. Those were the holes that you had to make your birdies. And then you had 14 and 15 again, were the other final 2 birdie opportunities. And then it's hang on for dear life at the end. And we saw, I think Bryson was like 8 over on the green mile versus Scotty. That's how he ended up winning the golf tournament. Is fine. I mean, the pendulum, I thought it was a week where the pendulum swung a little bit too far in a lot of directions. And me, RB in that pendulum, I'm ready to buy back when it swings too far. And I, one of the most staunchest Quail Hollow critics, I thought that by the end of the day, it was fine. I enjoy, and I watched a lot of Thursday and Friday coverage, and Thursday and Friday coverage on a bad golf course can be an absolute grind. And while I don't think the event ever felt like a major championship, I enjoyed watching pros play that golf course. I don't know if you've ever played in these conditions before. It sounds miserable to me, but the combination of very soft fairways and very firm greens seems miserable. That does, that's like the least, those conditions, and it tripped guys up all week. You could tell it was like giving guys fits all week because they'd play these soft as a baby's bottom lies out of the fairway around the greens. And then they would just get on the greens and the ball would take a giant bounce and they couldn't figure it out all week.
I agree. Yeah. I can't imagine anything more challenging than that, especially when you get around the greens, because it's as simple as like, you can't bump it into this hill because it's coming back to your feet. You also can't fly it to the hole because it's running 30 feet by. So very, very tricky for sure.
Let's turn the page to Colonial. I have another Colonial pod right at 1 Pacific time for me anyway. So we'll kind of have the same conversation that it seems like we have nearly every week he's in the field. And this to me, RB, is one of the better golf courses for him. If we're just talking pure course fit, like, why did Scotty Scheffler win at Quail Hollow last week? Because he's the best iron player in the world. He is the best at controlling his distances with short irons, whether it's long irons or short irons. It was more long irons at Quail Hollow. It's going to be more short irons at Colonial. These greens were barely ready last year, and they were really firm, and they're going to be softer and more receptive this year. But from everything that I'm seeing from the wind forecast, it seems like Cam will be down there for us this week. I don't know. I'll ask him. He's on the phone, but it seems like it's pretty dry and pretty windy. And so I think it'll play a little bit easier than last year, just because it's the second year with these greens. But Colonial always gives these guys fits. Like, it's a tough ball striking test. It's a golf course that Scotty can 100% separate with his approach play.
Sure. Wind. Yeah. Wind. I assume it's going to be firm out there, like you're saying. I think we have to talk about the non-overseeded Bermuda, because if you want to talk about way, it's a way that Scotty might struggle, right? There's not many things, but you miss a couple of these fairways, you get a couple flyers, you can make.
I feel like I have a memory of him getting upset about that last year.
Possibly. I don't remember what. I just remember the stupid Davis Riley stuff, but he somehow won by 5 in what seemed like a pretty close match. But yeah, I think that does add an element of it. It'll be a little different than we've seen here in the past.
So Scotty's 13.7. The second guy in the slate's Tommy Fleetwood at 10. And I don't think a bunch of people are super excited to play Tommy Fleetwood to win a golf tournament to begin with, especially coming off a disappointing PGA Championship. So what do we do with Scottie Scheffler? How do you build lineups that win with or without Scottie Scheffler? And what could this ownership possibly get to this week? And is there even a case to be made for fading him?
I mean, I think there's always a case to be made when someone's going to be 50% owned at $14,000. I think, right? I think you can make that case. But again, like, what are you pivoting to? Like you said, I don't think anyone's going to play Tommy. Spieth has the course history, but he stinks. I do think Berger's a great play and a great fit here, but are you paying $10K for Daniel Berger when Scotty's in the field? You could technically play them both. But yeah, I think it's a week where you just have to take some shots. Scotty alone leaves you a low 7s for the rest of your team. And so you could round it out with that type of team with 5 guys in the 7K, but I think that'll be fairly popular.
I think
you have to be willing to play 2 of the 6K guys, possibly 3 of the 6K guys. So you can play like a Scotty Rye or Scotty English team or something like that.
Yeah. I was talking, to some folks in the Discord, and I don't think it's super easy to build with Scotty this week, but maybe that's because I'm not giving the 6K range as much respect as maybe I should be. I mean, last week, some of those guys at the bottom, it shocked me how long they hung around. And don't get me wrong, we got some all world ejections. I mean, we had Benny on shot 80 over the weekend. Like, Jaeger was full ejecto mode for me. Like, there were some PGA Tour players that were good course fits that showed up and were not ready for the test. But there were also a lot of like really dumb driver putter guys that I thought had the ability to get it done at a quasi major championship. And I just think the PGA Tour is so freaking deep at this point. And if you have an opportunity there's going to be guys, I think, in the 6K range and the 7K range, like, that can contend in this golf tournament. We see it every week. So I'm trying to build the cases in my head that Scotty doesn't make sense. And I think the biggest case is you can build a really awesome balanced lineup without him, like a lineup where we're talking Berger, Fleetwood, Aaron Rye, Brian Harmon, all these guys in the 8s and the 9s and the high 7s. That's like super balanced, and you feel all very good about all those guys making the cut and getting a 6 of 6 for you.
It's just on the flip side, you could pick you could pick the next 6 guys in order: Berger, Fleetwood, Bryce, Speed, whatever you want to do. And their combined win equity does not equal Scotty's.
I know.
Or so that's the other part of it, right?
It feels like, yeah.
Yeah. And like Scotty scores, right? It's like, even when he doesn't win, he's in the top 5, he's scoring. Like, I would rather take shots because, like you said, I think this is a golf course where you're going to see some randomness. You're going to see some shorter, straighter hitters. I know you were talking about Brian Campbell earlier. Like, you play a few guys like that and you can play Scotty and Berger, right? I think that's the direction I would go this week.
And when Scotty gets hot and starts making birdies, he just goes on like insane streaks where his ceiling is not winning the golf tournament. His ceiling is like outscoring the field.
It's winning by 7.
Yeah, it's winning by 7 points. And that, because I had a big runner. It was one of the better DraftKings lineups I've made all season. It was the first time I think I've ever had 5 guys in the same lineup that finished in the top 8 of a tournament. That's really hard to do. I play it every week and I'm good at it, but that's really hard to do. And the amount that, and I thought for a second there, I was sitting pretty with like a ROM T2, but the amount that Scotty is able to lift and separate even from ROM and Bryson last week, I just got pulverized by all the Scotty lineups that had way worse players than me. But Scott, I mean, he's just, his ceiling, the floor is the ceiling
more than anybody else, right? Like, in terms of just raw points, he's got a 40% higher projection than Tommy Fleetwood this week. Yeah. So, and look, and again, I think it is golf course dependent, but this is one of the golf courses where I'm willing to take some shots this week. So Scotty Berger teams, Scotty English teams, whatever you want to do, I feel like that's the way to win this week.
I think I would go a little bit lower than you. I think I would probably have my second man in the 8K range as opposed to the 9K range.
Sure. I think it's a lot of good options there. I mean, you mentioned Glover. It's a Siwoo course. You could even play Davis Riley if you really feel like it. But
give me favorites in the 8s. We kind of already touched on the 9s a little bit. Would you say who's your favorite non-Scotty? Is it Berger?
Yeah. And
did you bet Berger?
No, I considered it because on like the 2% chance that Scotty withdrew and Berger gets nuked to 14-1, I felt like the 25 was a good number. Look, I still think 25 is okay for Berger. I just don't want to buy that against Scotty. So, but yeah, Berger is by far my second favorite. And then I bet English and Rye, like I think most people will.
I bet Rye. I don't know about
I actually like English a little better, but I bet them both.
Yeah, I don't know about HE. I feel like HE gave us all he got. By the way, shout out to member Ricardo for winning $70,000 last week. I mean, really on the back of HE, but also on the back of Taylor Moore. Taylor Moore T19 was a strongly ball knowing play. Obviously HE was huge for us at ISN as well. But it was a good week for us. I certainly needed it. I would say for me personally, I like Rye a lot. I love this golf course for him. I love Aaron Rye on golf courses that test accuracy. I think this golf course is going to test accuracy in the same way that Sedgefield did, right? He won at Sedgefield last August, and both those golf courses have similar proximity buckets, and they're golf courses that actually test accuracy. I think that's the perfect setup for Aaron Rye. So I bet Rye and Berger without Scotty.
I'm with you. I bet the full market just,
I feel like a bitch. Like I betting.
I am getting, look, if the rough is how we think with the non-overseeded Bermuda, like I am getting Wyndham vibes from this for sure.
Big time.
Right. And so like you can bet Tom Kim and Siwoo Kim and all those guys because I think that's the direction to go here. And Glover, yes. So that was the next bet. I was shocked to see an 80 on Glover this morning.
Glover was 80, huh? No each way for that?
Yes, that was Bet Rivers. So he was 80. And look, I mean, I typically bet the top 5 on most of my bets anyways, but I feel like that is a tremendous price. This is a perfect golf course for him. Played really well last week, I thought, until Sunday. The iron play was good. He gained off the tee. So, and he loves this golf course. So I think experience is very important here. It's kind of one of the reasons I went back to Harris English as well. He just, he's played this golf course a lot. He's contended a lot, and he tends to carry over these major performances. We've seen him do it a couple times now. So
yeah. I'm totally with you. I mean, Glover is one of my favorite plays on the slate. He's core consideration for me. I may end up betting him. I also really like JJ Spawn.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can play Scotty Rye Glover. It's doable. You just got to be comfortable playing three guys at the bottom. Like,
yeah. Well, I would put Spawn in as the second man in a Scotty lineup.
Sure. Yeah, Spawn makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'd even put Glover as the second man in a Scotty lineup. What do you think about DT, Davis Thompson? I was looking at him.
I've just never been a DT guy. He seems to be off a little bit. The iron play hasn't been sharp, but I just never get him right. So I don't know. I feel like he's fine, but I'm not going there this week.
Move us down a little bit farther into the 7K range. Who do you like in here?
Yeah, I think there's a lot. I think you have to look at a bounce back for Mackenzie Hughes, who was 5,600 last week. Randomly
didn't even know what he's bouncing back from.
Yeah, right. Completely sucked last week as I guess kind of chalky at 5,600.
He was in like higher stakes. There was definitely a Mackenzie Hughes under.
I mean, he's got 3 top 10s in his last 5 events. Like on a golf course that should fit him very well. He has a top 10 here. So I think that's a decent bounce back. I bet Ryan Gerard like everybody else. I bet Bud Cauley. Can you give me the quick Gerard case? Because Kyle was talking about this all morning, and I'm a Gerard fan myself. I've had a couple swings on that carousel, but he wasn't jumping off the page for me today. Well, I think the biggest thing with him, so I mean, we've seen the upside with him both here and on the Corn Ferry Tour. I think the biggest knock we've had on him recently was it was kind of smoke and mirrors, and the iron play wasn't good. The iron play was really good at Truist. It was elite last week. I believe his ball striking was number 2 in the field behind Harris English last week, so ahead of Scottie Scheffler. And that included
Aaron Rye's ball striking was amazing too.
Yeah, I think he was 4th, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, last week was Ryan Gerard's best off the tee performance ever, I think, and his second best iron performance ever. So he's definitely trending in the right direction. I think this is a good course for him. Wyndham's a good golf course for him. And again, I feel like 80 or 75 to 1, whatever he was this morning, it's just he's been playing better than that. So I like him. And kind of the same argument for Bud Cauley. The only difference is Bud Cauley has some course history here. He's got a couple top 20s. And again, just somebody who's been playing really well all year, and we've been waiting for a spot for it all to click. And I feel like he was 100 to 1 this morning. Like, he's better than that. He's been playing better than that.
Was he really? I missed the early number on Bud, and it was mainly because I was waiting for the no Scotty market to post with FanDuel. Sure. I like Bud a lot this week. He was infuriating over the weekend at Quail. Like he was in a 6 of 6 that had some serious legs, and he didn't want to do a goddamn thing over the weekend at that golf course. I mean, it was I was so happy. It was the type of 6 of 6 where you're hovering between T61 and T71, and he's just goofing around out there. He's just goofing around out there with his friends, unserious. But yeah, I mean, Colonial is a great spot for him. I was on Bud at like 3 of the golf courses where he finished top 5, and all of those golf courses like test accuracy and are shorter golf courses. I mean, like
all Bermuda probably too, right? Yeah,
Valspar's not a bad comp for this place by any means. I think you could totally go back to Bud. My guys in the low 7s that we haven't really mentioned, I think some of these guys might be a little chalky, unfortunately, because the low 7s is kind of loaded. And a lot of these guys are some real names. Eckroat, Cole, Rio might be the highest under 8K guy on the slate. I'm surprised that he wasn't 8K.
Yeah, great. It's a good bounce back spot for Eckroat. Like you're saying, there are signs that he is no longer dead. He was dead for a while, but the ball
Yeah.
striking slowly coming back. Perfect golf course for him.
Yeah.
With you there. I mean, how do you not play Nico at 7K considering
Kyle,
the upside
big on
and the
him too.
scoring?
Yeah. Yeah. Nico always feels like that guy to me, like where there's always going to be one moment on the leaderboard where it's like Nico Etch making a charge, and then God knows where he finishes at the end of the tournament. Like you could tell me anything. He could be making that charge on Thursday. He could be making it on Sunday afternoon, but I feel like we always hear from him at some point during a golf tournament. And then I never know where he finishes.
Yeah. Quick sidebar. Johnny Kiefer, currently leading the US Open qualifier in Texas, is very, very unfortunate considering the performance last week. But I'm with you on most of those guys. I mean, if we're doing the sort of Bermuda, short accuracy type stuff, I mean, happy to go back to Griot. Eric Cole.
I love Griot this week. Don't give away all the good ones. I think this is like, I think Griot's starting to come around and play some much better golf. I'm a huge Griot fan.
Eric Cole too. I mean, hasn't played well here. And obviously like he had a hole in one and some 60 footers last week, but he seems to be playing better. Who else down here? Like I would never knock you for playing Hoagie here.
Yeah.
Why is Joe Highsmith 7K? This dude's been good.
He has been really good.
I think that's a play. I think Mark Hubbard is a perfect fit at a course
what
like
about
this.
Poston? We ran right by him, much to Tom and Marty's chagrin, and
I just think again, I think it's a great course for him. But again, and Wyndham comps there as well. But if you're playing Scotty, you're probably not playing Poston.
Agreed.
But he was definitely on the short list this week.
Agreed. Yeah. Really good history at Wyndham and Heritage as well. I believe he definitely fits kind of that short positional accuracy tested bucket. I don't have a bunch to add and another pod to hop into, RB. So if you don't mind, we'll call it for the day and see you next week at Canadian Open. Is it Canada next week?
Yeah, that feels right. But
Memorial.
Don't be afraid. Oh yeah, we have Memorial, I think. I should know that because my son's birthday is Memorial Day. So
there we go.
But don't be afraid to take some shots this week. I think there's a lot of options down to the sixes, and
totally agree.
It's really the only way to have unique Scotty lineups is if you're building with 2 or 3 in the 6K range. So,
and if you want that next level of DFS insight, if you want the best ownership, in my humble opinion, a core that is heating up right now, we're heating up. Join InsideSportsNetwork.com. You'll get that next level of insight. And I think the Discord and the premium shows are the best part about it. It's a real community. It's really fun to sweat bets in there. And there's always some great conversation going in. So if you're watching this video, I would assume you're already a somewhat serious DFS player. So I would imagine that you care about having the right ownership. Don't hesitate. We'd love to have you. Try it out for a week. All right, I'll be RB. I'll see you next week. Cheers.
All right. See you.